like to start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakha Kudash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is The Major Players Are Back. And what do I mean by that? Well, it's a title that came to me a little earlier. And pretty much it's going into reincarnation pretty much. And how, you have the prophets that are here, the teachers, the different offices of the body of Yahweh Shai. You have the opposition, you have all the false prophets and wolf in sheep's clothing, here. And you have the Caesars are back, in their proper order, as they were back in the Roman Empire. You have the Roman soldiers that are back, just like you had them back then, whether they were centurions or, whatever rank they had back then. They're back in their, in their stead. The generals, Edomite generals, the Jake generals, the generals from the different nations that were a part of the Roman Empire. So they're all back. So all the pieces are in place. The prophecies are speaking loud and clear. Anyone with their head screwed on right, that's inspired by Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai can see that. Even people out there that do not follow or are not Israelites, even they can see certain things that the Bible is speaking about, because the evidence is overwhelming. You have those that say that the mark of the beast is not the microchip, and one of the reasons why they say that, which it is the microchip, the mark of the beast. But one of the reasons why they say that is because they say that Esau says that the microchip is the mark of the beast, so it can't be true. Well, if that's the case, well, we might as well throw the Bible out then, because you have Edomites out there that speak about the flood. You have Edomites out there that speak about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Should we throw those things out because they speak about them? So these arguments are ridiculous. But anyway, we're gonna start off in the book of Ecclesiastes, and I'm gonna show you a couple of articles that brother shared with me. And Lord's will, this lesson will be edifying. This is Ecclesiastes 1:9. The thing that hath been is that which shall be. So what is the thing? The thing is the spirit. So the spirits that have been, it is that which shall be, because whatever lot anyone played in the Most High's movie, that is the lot that they will receive. That is who they will be in this time. There's a scripture in Proverbs. Let me see if I can find it. Proverbs. Here we go. Proverbs 16:33. The lot is cast into the lap, but the whole disposal thereof is of the Lord, because the Lord is the one that gives the lot. And he also gives the inspiration to do what that lot calls for. Okay? We go to Isaiah chapter 34 and 16. Seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read, which is the Bible. No one of these shall fail. The prophecies. None shall want her mate. You can't make the Bible with any other book out there. For my mouth it hath commanded, and his spirit it hath gathered them, because the Lord is the one that's putting everything together. Now, the scriptures are a puzzle. They're also history, laws, statutes, commandments, judgments, and there were portions of these books that were given to men that were inspired back then, Israelite men that were inspired back then, the prophets. So the Lord said, and he hath cast a lot for them, because every prophet has their lot, and every prophet has what's given to them as far as the talents are concerned, as far as the lines in the scriptures, as far as how many books, and so on and so forth. It says, and his hand have divided it unto them by line. Yeah, because each prophet received, a portion of the Spirit. Some received more, some received less. So the same way that the prophets received their portion in their lot is the same way that all these different people on the planet that are here today have received a portion or a lot from the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. It says they shall possess it forever, from generation to generation shall they dwell therein. So anytime the prophets came back, they will come in the prophet's lot. Anytime different people on the planet Earth came, they will come back as the same people that they were back then, just in different bodies. That's why they have a saying that's called history repeats itself. Why? Because it's the same major players on the scene coming back, fulfilling those same things that they did, in other times. Salaki, brothers. Now, let's say, for instance, there was remembrance of these things. What would happen is, we would be able to go back in time and go visit all the different grave sites, where our old bodies or in another time was buried. You see? But the Lord removed that portion from us. So because that's how the Lord wanted to do it. So it says the thing that hath been, which is man, which is the spirit, which we have here, Ecclesiastes 6:10, that which hath been is named already, and it is known that it is man. So man hath been here many times. Neither may he contend with him that is mightier than he, which is the Most High. So it says the thing that hath been is that which shall be. So whatever lot a person had in the past will be now, and that which is done is that which shall be done. Why? Because it's the same major players on the scene again. And there is no new thing under the sun. So there's no new spirit or no new man under the sun. Not a newborn baby, none of that. That's just a play on words. The bodies are new, but the spirit is old. And that's what this is really going into, the spirit. It says, is there anything whereof it may be say, see, this is new? There's no spirit out here that can jump up and say, well, I'm new. I was never here before. No. It hath already been, it hath been already of old time, which was before us. See? So these spirits were always here. We were always here. We just came back in different lifetimes. It says, and reincarnation is not a East Indian or Elamite philosophy. It's not a wicked philosophy. It's not a wicked religion. It's the truth. There's nothing mystic about it. Where they go off at is that they say that they won't eat. Some of them won't eat cow or beef because they say that that's their that you reincarnate as that. And that's not true, because all flesh is not the same flesh. And that they're going off on. But as far as reincarnation in itself and the idea of it, they're correct. It says there is no remembrance of former things. So there's no remembrance. Why? Because the Lord removes that portion from our mind. Because some could probably died, certain ways, and the Lord, bottom line, the Lord didn't want us to remember that, any of that. Some would get proud. If they knew that they were one of the prophets from back then, they would be high-minded, proud, looking down on everybody else. So there is no remembrance of former things, neither shall there be any remembrance of things that are to come with those that shall come after. So that's why the Lord took that part out of us. In the kingdom we'll know, because we're going to know everything. Because right now we know in part, that's why we prophesy in part. But when that which is perfect is come, which is Yahweh Shai, then that which is in part shall be done away with. Then shall we know even as we are known. Because the Lord knows all of the people that we've been, pretty much. Got a couple of precepts. Let's see. The brother Gabar Adama, Numbers 14:18. Yep, the Lord is long suffering and great in mercy, forgiving iniquity and transgression, and by no means clearing the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generations. Why? Because they are their forefathers coming back. Nadav, Job 14:14. If a man die Shall he live again? All the days of my appointed time will I wait till my change come. Yeah, because once you die, you're not coming back. You know? But the spirit goes back to the Father, and then the spirit keeps coming back and forth. Because you have spiritual bodies, you have physical bodies. Yep, dark matter. Matthew 16:13. When Yahushua came into the coast of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, saying, "Whom do men say that I, the Son of Man, am?" And they said, "Some say thou art John the Baptist, some Elias, and others Jeremiah or one of the prophets." Why did they say that? Because they understood back then that they understood reincarnation back then. It wasn't a big deal. That's what the disciples asked the Lord when they asked him about the blind man. They said, "Who did sin, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?" So how could he have sinned if he was born blind? They understood about reincarnation back then. But anyway, let's get into it. This is, like I said, this was sent to me by a bro. A couple of brothers sent me different articles, and this is from the Dong A Ilbo. They have different places where they come from. Let me see if I could pull up the original one. Just bear with me 1 second. Let's see. Okay, this was actually just a screenshot that he sent me, and I found it. And the brother asked me if I thought that this individual was who I'm going to mention, and I said, yeah, it's possible. It says Biden to appoint first African American as defense secretary, and this guy is looks like a 4-star general. U.S. President-elect Joe Biden has picked Lloyd Austin, a retired 4-star Army general, to be Secretary of Defense, according to U.S. media, including New York Times. If confirmed by the Senate, Austin would be the first black leader of the Pentagon. See? And this brings to mind, as the brother asked, Tiberius Julius Alexander. This comes from the Jerusalem Post. Tiberius Julius Alexander, the Jew who destroyed Jerusalem. So this could very well be that devil coming back again. And back in his devil, lot. Because remember what happened. What happens is in 70 AD, right? They give you this history that Tiberius, besieged Jerusalem, sacked it, and destroyed it. But it wasn't him that did it. It was this. Well, I'm saying like this is. It could very possibly well be Tiberius Julius Alexander. But what happened was, Titus was very inexperienced, because he was a young general, and his father Vespasian, which was the experienced one, he had different generals under him that fought for him, different top generals that fought for him, and he would send them different places. But he actually sent Tiberius Julius Alexander to Jerusalem for the purpose of quelling the rebellion, because he was Tiberius Julius Alexander was very very well acquainted with putting down rebellion of the Jews. Pretty much he was a sellout. He was a Sambo. And he put down a lot of different rebellions in Alexandria and different places, because, and that's why, one of the reasons why Vespasian sent him to Jerusalem to quell that whole situation, because his son couldn't do it. So when he got there, they destroyed the temple. They destroyed everything. That was the days of vengeance that Yahushua spoke of. So Tiberius Julius Alexander, the Jew who destroyed Jerusalem. This is December 2nd, 2015. This is about 5 years ago. It says Titus, chief of staff in his campaign to conquer and raise Jerusalem in 70 CE, which is AD, Common Era, Christian Era. AD is Anno Domini, the year of our Lord, was born a Jew. His name was Tiberius Julius Alexander. So his parents named him that. Greek and Latin names. And he was the scion of one of the most important Jewish families in the ancient world. See? So he was like one of the top guys. His uncle was Philo, a communal leader of the Jews of Alexandria and the first prominent philosopher in Jewish history. So that was him. So this guy, when you read about Philo, he was a Jake, but he was all into the Greek customs, just like Timothy's father was. And notice they don't have Israelite names, you know. They pretty much have his son has a Greek/Latin name. All right, it says his father Marcus was an important Alexandrian official under the Roman administration and was famed for his gift of gilded gates to the Jerusalem temple. So you had prominent figures, you know, officials that were of Israel back then, that this individual Tiberius Julius Alexander came from. He said his brother had married into the Jewish royal family in Judea. See, while he did not officially convert to paganism, simply by fighting in the Roman army and participating in the Roman administration of the ancient world, he cut his ties with his Jewish roots. And this is what happened to a lot of Israelites back then. That's why you have a lot of Jakes in the New Testament that had Greek and Latin names. And when you go into something called the Sons of Israel in the Caesar's Service or something like that, it's a book. It's a short book, and pretty much it tells you in there, it speaks about this guy, Tiberius Julius Alexander. It speaks about different Israelites that joined the military. Some of them had their Hebrew names, but for the most part, there were a lot of them that had Greek and Latin names, so they were never recognized in the history as being Israelites. You know? And that's what happened. That's why when you read the New Testament, it speaks about Greeks, it speaks about Gentiles. Those are Israelites that were in the Israelites that were Hellenized, you know, under Antiochus Epiphanes and the Greek Empire, and they changed their names. You know, they couldn't call themselves Israelites or Jews. And then in process of time, when the Yahushua came on the scene and the disciples and then the Apostle Paul were teaching, some of them believed and came back to their heritage. And that's pretty much, in a nutshell, the history of the New Testament. You know, because Yahushua had died for them, and now they were able to come back because they were scions of Israel. You know, when you go into the word, I believe the word is grafted, if I'm not mistaken, in Romans 11 chapter. You know, one of the words there is scion, you know, which is an actual descendant of the Israelites. All right, let's see. It says one wonders what was going through the mind of Tiberius as the temple in Jerusalem burned to the ground. We know from the ancient Jewish historian Josephus that Tiberius was not in favor of burning the temple to the ground, following the lead of the Roman general Titus. Yeah, but, you know, he was there. He did it. You know, and there's some sources that say that Titus didn't want to burn the temple down. So you have to be very skeptical on what to believe, you know, with these people that are writing. But this seems to be an apologetic stance. Josephus, who also aided the Romans in trying to quell the revolt in Jerusalem, wanted to make Titus and Tiberius look good. Yeah, because they actually did burn it down. And it was under their orders. Their men weren't that rogue that they would not listen to them. Josephus placed the blame for the Roman destruction of Jerusalem on the rebelling Jews and presents a hesitant Titus who wants to save the temple, which is total bullshit, as a work of art. No, I believe that Tiberius Julius Alexander was so severed from his Jewish origins that he had no pangs of conscience in destroying Jerusalem. He was Roman to the core, just like you see this individual. Just like you see them Jakes that's all into the military and the police forces. They're all about, they're not thinking about who they are, their heritage and their people. They're all thinking about what can they do to please master. You know, you can look at this guy and tell that this guy, if you even fix your mouth to try to tell this guy about the truth, that he's an Israelite, he's gonna look at you sideways. He's gonna look at you like a hot lump of shit on the sidewalk on a cold day. This guy, you could see he has Esau's spirit all over him. Doesn't have a lick of hair on his face, except for his eyebrows and his eyelashes. This guy, this very well might just be this guy. They have, look, when they get together and they talk about Jake, he doesn't have any remorse or any love for Jake. None of these individuals, because if they did, they wouldn't be in those positions. All right, so let's see what else we could find. It says, in contrast to today's world, Tiberius Julius Alexander was an exception to the rule. The 250,000 Jews living in Alexandria spoke only Greek but lived their lives as Jews. The translation of the Hebrew Bible into Greek, the Septuagint, was a cornerstone of the community of the Jews in Alexandria. While we know little of the port city synagogue, it was a central component of Jews who lived in a Jewish quarter apart from the Greeks and the Romans. In fact, in contrast to collaborator Tiberius Julius Alexander, the Jews of Alexandria rose up in rebellion against the Romans in 115 CE. The Roman Empire crushed the rebellion and burnt down the great synagogue. Nevertheless, fuck out of here, man. Let's see. Nevertheless, these were Jews proud of being Jewish who did not abandon their Jewish identity or their Jewish faith. Tiberius Julius Alexander must have been the black sheep of his family. No pun intended. I'm sure they didn't, even though Jake is not black, but, just playing off of that word. But if he were alive today, which more than likely, this is him, and he is alive today, in the same position, he's a general, he would fit comfortably among the Jews who hate themselves and hate Israel and would not regret the destruction of Israel. Yeah, he'll fit right along with all them fallouts, that denounce being an Israelite. You can go to any college campus in the world and find the Jewish ideological heirs of Tiberius Julius Alexander. Yeah, this might just be him right here. Let's see. So that's pretty much it. All right, that's pretty much it. Now, what I want to do is I want to go into some precepts. This is Daniel chapter 9, verse 1. It says, in the first year of Darius, because see, these historical events, like going back to Tiberius Julius Alexander, the sacking of Jerusalem, and different events that took place in history, go along with Bible history, so that's why it's important. And this right here in the Daniel 9 and 1, this is what Daniel said: in the first year of Darius, the son of Ahasuerus, of the seed of the Medes. This is the same Darius that sacked, or actually not sacked, actually took the kingdom away from the Babylonians, which was made king over the realm of the Chaldeans. In the first year of his reign, I, Daniel, understood by what? By books, the number of the years whereof the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah the prophet, that he would accomplish 70 years in the desolation of Jerusalem. So he understood by reading the books, namely Jeremiah, and others, that there was 70 years accomplished, in the desolation of Jerusalem, which was by the Babylonians, because he happened to be transitioned, because some prophets lived during the Babylonian Empire into the Medo-Persian Empire, so he happened to be one of them. So he saw the destruction, or he saw them being taken down, or should I say he was in the midst of Babylon when they took when Israel was tributary to them, and then he saw the transition from that to the Medo-Persian Empire. He understood by books, the prophecy that the Lord spoke by the mouth of Jeremiah. All right, and this was, and the destruction of 70 AD was spoken of by Yahushua, by the Apostle Paul, which we're going to read about the Apostle Paul right now, and it happened. So it says, 2 Thessalonians 2:1, now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of the Lord Yahushua and by our gathering together unto him, that you be not soon shaken in mind or be troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter, as from us, as that the day of Yahushua is at hand. And the day of Yahushua is at hand. And that's what we're waiting for. And we're at the very end of this. Right? It says, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except they come out falling away first. Now, what did this mean? This means that there had to be a falling away first. So that goes back to what? That goes back to 70 AD. When the Apostle Paul wrote this, that had to probably be like in the probably mid-50 ADs, around there. Let me just see, because we have the Red Bible. Just it gives you like approximate dates. You know, the dates are, are approximations, but nevertheless, it gives you an idea. Which it says 54 AD, right? So about mid-50 ADs, the Apostle Paul was writing about the destruction of Jerusalem because he understood, because Yahushua revealed it to him, and Yahushua spoke about it. You know? So like it, brothers. Alright, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, which are the Edomites. Back then they were being called Romans. Today they're being called Americans, European, so on and so forth. All right, so this took place. The Apostle Paul spoke about it before it happened. Yahushua spoke about it before it happened. Matthew 24:15. When you therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet. So when you go back into Daniel the 9th chapter, it speaks about this desolation when you jump down to the 24th verse to the end of the chapter. And that is exactly what took place during this time that Yahushua was speaking about. Here, the abomination of desolation. And that's when the man of sin was revealed. And they're being revealed today also. Because the revelation of them is what? Them putting themselves up as being the Most High, as being Yahushua, as being the angels, as being the Israelites, so on and so forth. It says, when you therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, which was what? The temple in Jerusalem. Whoso readeth, let him understand. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. Yeah, because it was a very horrible time. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter that took place. In other words, you better hope that it's not in the winter when it's cold, neither on the Sabbath day. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. And they will be shortened in this time also. Because there's going to be another great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord, as is spoken of in the book of 2nd Ezra, the 16th chapter. So we're heading into, 70 AD all over again. But this time is going to be a lot worse. A lot worse than what it was back then. So this is the same account just in the book of Mark 13:14. But when you shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand where it ought not, let him that readeth understand. Then let them that be in Judea flee to the mountains, and let him that is on the housetop not go down into the house, neither enter therein, to take anything out of his house. And let him that is in the field not turn back again to take up his garment. But woe to them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days, and pray that your flight be not in the winter. Alright, so now let's move on to the next one. Luke 21. Matter of fact, Salaki, just bear with me 1 second. Luke 21:20. And when you shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies. See, I like the one in Luke because it goes a little more in depth, right? And when you shall see that Jerusalem compassed with armies. And this is the same thing that's going to happen now. This happened in 70 AD. No, and the main individuals was Titus and Tiberius Julius Alexander. Which I'm not saying this is him, but more than likely it could be. It says, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh, because Yahushua spoke about that. And when we read in the book of Daniel, the 9th chapter, it speaks about this. Same exact situation. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter therein too. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. See? So these are the days of vengeance. It says, so this is why I like this one also, because it goes into the days of vengeance. And this was done because Jake was being wicked back then. They were mistreating the word of the Lord. They were esteeming what's the word I'm looking for? They were esteeming the elders' traditions greater than the word of the Most High. And then it goes into the same thing. But woe to them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. So it's pretty much the same thing, but it tells you using like more detail. Like in the book of Luke, there's a little more detail. Like when you jump down, matter of fact, I read, but woe to them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days, for there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people. Why? Because the Lord spoke about it. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. And that's exactly what happened. All right, so that was the destruction of Jerusalem. Now another article that a brother sent me is this one here on RT. It says, Israel to unveil Herod's palace, almost perfectly preserved for past 2,000 years after being buried by Judean king. All right, and you can see a picture of it there. And the Edomites are our biggest enemy, but the Herodian family, that was like the top family among Esau. That was our enemies. And the Herodians and the Romans and the Greeks, they were all the same people, but they didn't know it back then. They were all Edomites. All right. So they found the Herod's palace that was almost perfectly preserved for the last 2,000 years, that was buried. So how about that? It says Israeli authorities will open King Herod's palace fortress in Herodium this Sunday, affording and this was December 10, 2020. That was yesterday. It says affording tourists the opportunity to peer back some 2,000 years and discover the lavish lifestyle of the tyrannical Roman era leader. The already popular tourist destination near Bethlehem has been undergoing excavations for the past 13 years following the discovery of Herod's grave. And you can see here, It says archaeologists believe Herod decided to bury his palace near the end of his life, and this decision has paid huge dividends for the archaeological community, helping to almost perfectly preserve much of the site for the past 2,000 years. And you can see a little closer picture there. It says the king is perhaps best known for ordering the massacre of the innocents at the time of the birth of Yahushua, according to the Gospel of Matthew in the Christian Bible. Is Israel's Nature and Parks Authority will reopen the site on Sunday, and it will be the first time tourists will be able to view Herodium's arch stairway, foyer, and private 300-seat theater. And you can see here. Wait a minute, where these guys' masks at? Where their mask at, man? Wait a minute. It says Herod was a Roman appointed king. Right, he was a Roman appointed king. He was an Edomite that was put up in there because the last Judean king, I think his name was Antigonus, if I'm not mistaken. I can't, it's been a while. But I believe it was Antigonus. And instead of him ruling, I believe the Romans put him to death and put Herod in place of him, who ruled Judea from 37 to 4 BC. He initially stuck with Jewish traditions, but gradually adopted more Roman tastes over time, as visible in the plush paintings and decorations which adorn his palace cum mausoleum. Well, he was an Edomite anyway. It says this is an unparalleled archaeological laboratory. Roy Peratt, the Hebrew University archaeologist in charge of the excavations, who compared it to Pompeii's preservation under the lava that covered it. Features such as the palace's broad staircase, its main foyer replete with striped frescoes with their original colors, three tiers of arches, as well as the site's private theater, booth, and royal visiting room will be open to the public. So you can see right there, they're giving you, some close-ups. This is an aerial view, and this is, from, a distant panoramic view, and then you have another aerial view. All right. Now before I read this, it says how many Herods are there in the Bible? And there was 6. You had Herod the Great, you had Herod Archelaus, you had Herod Antipas, you had Herod Philip the Tetrarch, you had Herod Agrippa the First, and you had Herod Agrippa the Second. And what I like about this guy, what he did was he actually gave a brief summary, of Herod the Christmas story, which there's no such thing as Christmas story. This is bullshit. But this is dealing with, Yahushai, his father Joseph and his mother Mary. Herod Archelaus, Joseph to Nazareth instead of Bethlehem because of him. Herod Antipas killed John the Baptist. Herod Philip ruled area north and east of Galilee. Herod Agrippa I, eaten by worms. This is the one that gave that oration, and people would laud in him that he was the God spoken. That's God spoke, and he didn't give the credit to the Most High, and the worms ate his ass. Herod Agrippa II, trial of Paul in Caesarea. All right. So now we read here about the Judean king and how he killed and massacred the innocents. So let's get that real quick. Matthew 2:1. Now when Yahushua was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem, saying, where is he that is born king of the Jews? Because they saw the ship, and the wise men back then, they could actually look at the stars and read the stars. It says, for we have seen his star in the east. Now this star was an actual chariot. It says, and we are come to worship him. So now here it is, they're telling this to Herod, who was the king of Israel, and they're telling him that a king is born, the king of the Jews is born, and he was like messed up. He said when Herod the king had heard these things, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. So all of these simple-minded jakes back then, they were troubled because he's the king, but he's a goddamn Edomite. It says, and when he had gathered all the chief priests and scribes of the people together, he demanded of them where Yahushua should be born. And they said unto him, in Bethlehem of Judea, for thus it is written by the prophet, and thou, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, art not the least among the princes of Judah, for out of thee shall come a governor that shall rule my people Israel. See? And that's in the Old Testament, in the book of Micah. It says, then Herod, when he had privily called the wise men, inquired of them diligently what time the star appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem and said, go and search diligently for the young child. And when you have found him, bring me word again that I may come and worship him also. But this was all a lie. He just wanted to know who it was so that he can kill him. It says, when they had heard the king, they departed, and lo, the star which they saw in the east went before them till it came and stood over where the young child was. Right, because the chariot led them to Yahushua. See? It says, when they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceeding great joy. And when they were come into the house, they saw the young child with Mary his mother, and fell down and worshipped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented unto him gifts, gold and frankincense and myrrh. And being warned of the Most High in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed into their own country another way. Yeah, because they really believed that Herod, had the child's, interest, which is Yahushai, at heart, but he didn't. He wanted to kill him, and then the angel warned him, "No, don't tell that devil shit." It says, "And when they departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, Arise and take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt, and be thou there until I bring thee word, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy him." See, so the angel told Joseph in a dream what Herod's plans were. When he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night and departed into Egypt, and was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken of the Lord by the prophet, saying, Out of Egypt have I called my son. It says, Then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, because he didn't come back, was exceeding wroth, and sent forth and slew all the children that were in Bethlehem and in all the coast thereof, from 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had diligently inquired of these wise men. So this was 2 years later, when this whole situation happened. So after those 2 years, he sent, and that's why he killed the male child from 2 years and under, because that's the time lapse that happened from when the wise men came to him and didn't come back. It says, Then was fulfilled that which was spoken by Jeremy the prophet, saying, In Ramah was there a voice heard, lamentation and weeping and great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children. Now, this is just a question I'm going to throw on the comment board. Or I'm not throwing the comment board. This is a question I'm going to ask to the brothers on the comment board. Who were Rachel's children? All right. It says, In Ramah was there a voice heard, lamentation and weeping and great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children. So who are Rachel's children? And would not be comforted, because they are not. All right. It says, But when Herod was dead, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt, saying, Arise and take the young child and his mother, and go into the land of Israel, for they are dead which sought the young child's life. All right. So now they were the brother got it, Yahukanan, Joseph and Benjamin. That's right. So the children that were being killed here were Benjamites, because it mostly was Benjamin that was there, at that time. So a lot of Benjamites got killed. You had some Judites there too, but there was a majority of them were Benjamin, because you had Joseph and you had Benjamin, which were Rachel's sons. But a good portion of Joseph, which were Ephraimites, came over to this side of the world. So really, it was a lot of Benjamites that got slaughtered. In that, Yeah, it would be Manasseh and Ephraim. You're right. Manasseh and Ephraim. Yeah, that's right. But Manasseh is separate, because Joseph is synonymous with Ephraim. When you go to Numbers, the first chapter, 32nd verse, and when you go to Revelation 7, it speaks about Joseph, and then it mentions Manasseh, but it doesn't mention Ephraim, because Joseph and Ephraim are synonymous one with the other. You can interchange both of them. All right, so let's see. It says, And he arose and took the young child and his mother, and came into the land of Israel. Right? So when Joseph and Mary and Yahushua got there, it says, But when he heard that Archelaus did reign in Judea in the room of his father Herod, this was another Herod, he was afraid to go thither. So he didn't go there. Notwithstanding being warned of the Most High in a dream, he turned aside into the parts of Galilee. And this was like a stumbling block for those wicked Pharisees and Sadducees in them, because he was born in Bethlehem, but he was raised in Nazareth. So then that's why they said, look, search the scriptures. The scriptures don't say nothing about the son, the Messiah being born in Nazareth. And Yahushua could have easily said, well, I was born in Bethlehem and so happened. You remember what happened back then, when Herod was slaying all the children. Well, the angel told my father and my mother to go into Egypt and bring me there until Herod be dead. And we came back, and his son was ruling in his stead. And instead of us going into Bethlehem and living there, my father and took my mother and myself and took us up to Nazareth. He could have easily said that, but why didn't he say that? Because it wasn't meant for them to get it. You know, you got these guys trying to break their neck to explain the scriptures to every single person. Everybody's not going to get this message, man. This message is only for the elect. You know, you got these guys that think that they're wiser than the Most High, and they're going to wake up all Israel. When the Lord said that 2/3 are blind. It says, and he came and dwelt in a city called Nazareth, that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by the prophets, he shall be called a Nazarene. You know? Let's see, what was this? Okay, this is another one. How many Herods are there in the New Testament, you know? And you have Bus, you can see he looks like a so-called Jew. He got kind of kinky hair, you know, thicker lips. Because his father, Herod's father, which was Antipater, which was an Edomite, you know, he took a wife, Cypros, which was an Arabian woman, and had Herod. So Herod came out with some color, looking like, you know, like a Jake, because, you know, the so-called Arabians or the Ishmaelites are brown-skinned people. Then Herod in turn took Miriam, which was an Israelite woman, you know, of the Hasmonean dynasty, and had sex with her, had children with her, and they came out even looking darker. You see? So you had Herod the Great, 37 BC to 4 BC. They have a bust of him here. We don't know how accurate this is, but, you know, it's possible, because, you know, he got that, you know, that 1948 nose, that schnoz. All right, Herod Archelaus, 23 BC to 18 AD. This was his son. This was the one that, you know, when Joseph heard of him, they fled into Nazareth. You had Herod Antipas. And we saw how this individual was breaking it down here. You know, Herod Antipas, he's the one that killed John the Baptist. Okay, so Herod Antipas, before 20 BC to 39 AD, he's the one that, right there you go. John the Baptist rebuked him, and he had John the Baptist put to death. All right. Then you have Herod Agrippa, 12 BC to 44 AD. That's the first. And he was the one that was eaten by worms. And then you had Herod II, 27 AD to 100 AD. So he was actually alive during the time when Jerusalem was sacked. He actually witnessed that. And he was the one that tried Paul in Caesarea. And he's the one that Paul said in Acts 26. You know, when he said he was happy to defend himself because he knew that Herod was expert in the law and all that. This is who he was talking to, Herod Agrippa II. All right, what else do we have? And that's it on that. Yeah, and pretty much that's it. You know, you can go to the and in these they also give you like the scriptures where it speaks about these different individuals. As a matter of fact, Herod Antipas, which was the same one that killed John the Baptist, this is the one that Yahushua called the fox in Luke 13:32. Okay? And that's pretty much it. You know, I put some of these in the description box. I'm not sure if I put them all. Let me see. I'll let you know right now. It looks like I have 3. So I definitely have this one in there. This one I have in there, I believe, yet, and this one. So these 2 here I don't have in the description box. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them here in the comment section. And if you brothers want to, you know, click on it and go to it, you know, just so you can have it in case you want to do a little more reading on it, a little more studying. And let me see what brothers got on the comment board before I close out. All right, let's see. All right, pretty much that's pretty much it. Yeah, this is a good one. Yahweh is my power. Isaiah 25:7, and he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people and the veil that is spread over all nations. And that's why we're able to go into the scriptures and bring these things out, because the Lord has revealed them now. You know? The Lord has revealed it unto his people. All right, so pretty much, with that, I pray that you brothers have been edified, until the next time I say shalom.